Hi there, students. I thought I would tape a lesson over what we went over today, and we began today's lesson by the different ways to factor polynomials. And we talked about factoring polynomials with 2 terms, 3 terms, and 4 terms. So they are, these are the notes that we took in class. I'm going to put them on screen, so in case you didn't get them all figured out, then you can take a second and copy them down and pause if you need to. So these are the instructions for 3 and 4 terms. So let's get those, and then flipping to the front page. We talked about how the 3 steps that we have to use to multiply rational algebraic expressions and to divide them. So our first step is we want to factor our polynomials, and that's why we went over our notes from today for factoring polynomials. The second is you want to cancel any common factors, and the third is then you want to just multiply straight across. And this is all for multiplying rational expressions. And then the second part is when we're dividing rational expressions, and here we multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction, and then you follow the multiplication rules. So, looking at some of the examples that we did today, I'm going to flip it to the second page. Let's look at number 1. So, number 1 says 2 over 13 times 5 over 12m. So, I want to see, is there anything that I can factor out of this polynomial? So, 2 times 5, I can't factor that any further, so I'm going to leave it like that. And then I have 13, and then I know that 12 is equal to 2 times 6, and then I still have an m. Now, I could have taken this further and said 13 times 2 times 2 times 3. Would have been fine. So at this point now, I see, do I have any commonalities between my numerator and denominator? And I have a 2 divided by 2. And that's the only one that I can simplify. So at this point, my answer is going to be 5. And I multiply 13 times 6, so that's 78m. So that would be my final answer. Well, they're not always that simple. So let's look at number 7 was one of the problems that you had to do for homework tonight. So number 7, if you look at that, I have this first rational polynomial or rational expression, and then I'm multiplying it by this one. So in my numerator, I have 4, and that comes from the first one, and then I have this polynomial 4r plus 28. And I can see that both of these I can factor out a 4. So when I take 4r and divide it by 4, it's just equal to r. And when I take 28 and divide it by 4, it's equal to 7. And it's adding, so I just carry that down. And then, as you can see, I have 4 plus 7 in my denominator and a 4. So at this point, I see, do I have any terms that are alike, or do I have any factors that are alike? And I have a 4 and a 4. And then I have a r plus 7 divided by r plus 7, and that's going to be 1. So the final answer for this number 7 is just going to be 4. Now, flipping it on over to the third page, things get a little tougher. So looking at number 11, you can tell, hey, I have a 3-term polynomial and I have a 2-term polynomial. So I have to say, okay, with my 3-term polynomial, I know I'm going to have to use the x factor. So I use the x factor. I multiply a times c, and that's going to be 4. And then I have b is negative 4. And I know that that's negative 2 and negative 2. I multiply those together and get 4, add them together and get negative 4. Now in this case I have to do bottoms up because I have a leading coefficient of 2. So I simplify this fraction and it becomes x over negative 1. And again, that one over there becomes x over negative 1. So my complete factorization of this polynomial is x minus 1 times x minus 1. So I'm going to just write x minus 1 times x minus 1. And then there's no common factors between 5x and negative 9, so that just stays the same. Now, and then I put it over, and I'm going to factor out the denominator. So I have 45x and 81. And I can see that I have a common factor of 9. So that's 5x minus 9. So that binomial becomes 5x minus 9. Then I can see I have 2x squared plus 12x minus 14. And I can do the x factor because it's 3 terms. And I have negative 28. And I have 12. And what factors can I add or subtract together of 28 to get 12? And that's a positive 14 and a negative 2. Leading coefficient of 2. So I do bottoms up. Then I simplify. And that would be x over 7. So my common fact, or my factorization, is going to be x minus 1 times x plus 7. And from here, I just see, do I have anything in common? And you can see I have x minus 1 and x minus 1, 5x minus 9 and 5x minus 9. And so then I have left x minus 1 over x plus 7. And this is my final answer. So hopefully that'll help you a little bit tonight.